hello everybody. Welcome to Operation Magician. Just as a conclusive remark, I wanted to filter my ideas. Well, just three concepts which actually have to do with social engineering, how to manipulate people, and I forget the third one right now. But these are the three ideas that I filtered through Gamma, which is AI operated in order for me to kind of talk about the last ideas of this Operation Magician. If I have further ideas or I further develop this archetype, I'll continue to make more videos. But I think for now, I'm going to leave it right here. I wanted to kind of talk through this presentation. So let's get into it. It says first, introduction to social engineering. So I love this term because it's a more scientific, technical term than just saying, oh, you're going to be a magician or you're going to be a manipulator. So we are indeed talking about social engineering, how to change people's attitudes, beliefs, behaviors through different techniques, right? So it says here, social engineering is the art of manipulating people into divulging sensitive information, right? So there's the intel, the intelligence part of it, like you want to know things, which I haven't really leaned into it because personally, I get information through other sources like books and videos, not so much from people. But I mean, this is probably a weakness that I have so far, which could potentially be strengthened in the future. But yeah, anyway, it's divulging or getting that information, or performing actions that compromise security. Now, that compromise security, that's not really necessary, but it is to get people to perform different types of actions, right? Basically, for them to change. So it says this presentation will explore the psychology, techniques, and potential dangers of social engineering, equipping you with the knowledge to recognize and defend against such threats. This is so funny because anytime you learn about manipulation, they always say, oh, it's not for you to use, it's for you to detect and defend yourself against. And it's like, yeah, keep telling yourself that because in reality, you can also use them. You just have to seek, you can say, common benefit, right? Basically, don't harm other people. If you're really interested in their well being, then I think it can be used against other people too. Okay, and the potential dangers, we talked about this back in step, I believe step 2 or 3. I mentioned how it has potential dangers such as getting found out in the long run, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. Cool little picture right there. Says the magician archetype transforming reality. Okay, so first of all, obviously, influence and persuasion are big, right? I highly recommend Robert Greene, right? He talks about, also Robert Cialdini. They talk a lot about influence and persuasion. So here it says social engineers harness the power of influence and persuasion to shape the reality of their targets, much like a magician captivates an audience. So exactly, a magician is a performer. So at the end of the day, you are performing, like Frank Underwood from House of Cards. Illusion and misdirection. By leveraging illusion and misdirection, social engineers can lead their targets down the path of their own choosing, distracting from the true intentions. Correct. So this is used, and for me, it was very interesting when I found out that the magician archetype is basically the magician that brands use, right? And I think I've mentioned this. So they want to misdirect people, right? Sometimes even misinformation is used in order to get people to buy a product or support a cause, right? So you don't really want people to see your true intention because as soon as they know it, they'll probably, Jordan Peterson said something like this, like people will rebel against you so they can affirm their autonomy, right? So people don't want to think or feel like they're sheep and they're being guided, right? So it's very important for people to feel they're autonomous and they're making their own decisions. So you can't let people know what your true intentions are, like, oh, my intention is to manipulate you or to transform you or to change you. No, so you have to kind of put on a show as a performer would, as a magician would, right? And transformation and change. The ultimate goal of the social engineer is to transform the reality of their targets, correct? Manipulating them to act in ways that serve the social engineer's objectives. Yes. Now, the objective doesn't have to be evil or sinister, right? It could be something good, right? Maybe you see a person that doesn't exercise, so you kind of manipulate them into doing exercise, right? Things like that. Okay, let's go out to the next one. This one says understanding human psychology and behavior, cognitive biases, leveraging common cognitive biases such as the halo effect and confirmation bias to influence decision making. I definitely have to look up the halo effect. I didn't check out this presentation before, but I know about the confirmation. Okay, so halo effect here says is a type of cognitive bias in which our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. And essentially, your overall impression of a person, he is nice, impacts your evaluation of that person's specific traits. Like he is also smart. Yeah, so this goes back to maybe like the first impression you make on people, right? Like if they see that you're talented or smart, then they'll be more prone and open, more prone to listen to you, right? And confirmation biases is just like when they believe something and you give them more evidence or proof of that, even though opposite evidence exists or contrary evidence exists, they like that, right? That influences decision making, and decision making is basically the process that you have to influence in other people, because at the end of the day, that's what you want them to you want them to make different decisions, right? So you have to influence the decision making process. Emotional triggers, exploiting emotions like fear, curiosity, and a desire for belonging to drive target behavior. Yes, emotions are big. There we get into all of these like gaslighting, all these nasty things, right? If you use emotions to manipulate or to get people to do what you want, I would probably say that's not a good thing. Okay, number three, social dynamics, understanding group dynamics, social hierarchies, and the power of social proof to manipulate targets. Yes, social proof is basically like everybody's buying this, everybody's doing it, you know, the FOMO thing, fear of missing out. So nobody wants to be left out, right? Personality types, tailoring approaches to different personality types, such as the authority driven or the trusting. Yes, I think here for me, it's very difficult to deal with type B personality, but I much rather deal with type A. But yeah, also detecting the different types of personalities. Okay, so next one is techniques of influence and persuasion, reciprocity. So, yes, this one goes back to Robert Cialdini. Actually, these three are from Robert Cialdini's influence book, Reciprocity, offering small favors or gifts to create a sense of obligation in the target. Yes, so you do something for someone and then it's like they owe you and you have almost the right to ask them for something back, and they need to do it because they have that sense of obligation, like it says here. Scarcity, emphasizing the limited availability of information or opportunities to create a sense of urgency. Yes, so you say I'm selling chocolates but I only have two left, right? Like it's scarce, like everybody already bought them. And I think this ties into social proof, right? Leveraging the power of conformity by presenting the target's actions as the norm or expected behavior. Again, you don't want to be left out, right? Um, Everybody's doing it. Okay, the next one, building rapport and trust. Huge. I think I talked about this, and Chris Voss in his book Never Split the Difference also discusses this. So mirroring is basically matching the other person's verbal and nonverbal cues to create a sense of connection and understanding. Now, I don't remember who said this. I think it was Bustamante, the CIA agent that I've been listening to on YouTube, and he mentions that you don't want to copy everything. You want to be selective in how you mirror or copy the other person's body language, right? And you actually want them. I just heard this recently. You don't want to copy their body language because subconsciously or unconsciously, that means that they have control. You want to copy them just enough for them to start copying you. So then you have control, right? And you can also mirror not only the body language, but also the vocabulary that they use, right? That's why it says verbal cues. Active listening, this is huge, Chris Voss. Demonstrating genuine interest in the target's concerns and perspectives to establish trust and rapport. Yeah, so rapport is that sense of connection that you get with someone, like I can trust you, you listen to me. Bustamante also goes into this, and he actually developed a small technique, or he talks about a technique, I guess maybe he learned from the CIA, where he says, in order to get people to open up, you have to ask two questions and a confirmation. So two questions is like you ask two things related to whatever they're talking about, and then a confirmation is like the one upping faux pas, which is like, oh, something similar happened to me, and that will get them to keep talking, right? So this is active listening. You have to actively listen, so then you can ask questions, right? Chris Voss says, he said in an interview with Jordan Peterson, that listening is not just staying quiet, so you do have to engage, right? And then you confirm with like, okay, well, here's my input, and then we can continue talking about what it is you're talking about, or maybe go a different way, right? That's how you get intel. And three, shared experiences, finding common ground. Yes, I mentioned this too. And shared interest to build a sense of camaraderie and shared identity. Yes, so it's like we're the same. You know, you can trust me, and that way, whatever way I guide you towards, you'll head that way, right? Okay, the next one. Let's see, exploiting cognitive biases. So anchoring bias. I think these also have to do with Robert Cialdini. Sorry, I think his last name is pronounced Cialdini, not Caldini. Anchoring biases have to do with, here it says, presenting an initial piece of information that serves as a reference point for future decisions. Yes, so this, they talk about this when you're trying to negotiate like money, and maybe you want to sell or buy at 300, but the other person doesn't want to give you that much, or doesn't want to spend that much, or whatever. So you can anchor it at like 500, so then when they get to 300, it will seem like you have compromised, right? Framing effect, manipulating the way information is presented to influence the target's perception and decision making. Yes, so again, this kind of go these two go hand in hand. They're kind of the same thing. Social proof, yes, we already talked about that one. And availability heuristic, relying on readily available information or salient examples to make judgments rather than a more thorough analysis. Yes. So the heuristic, I was actually I've been looking into this word. Heuristic is like a shortcut to ideas, right? So I think all of my videos are basically heuristic. I think this whole Operation Magician is also heuristic. So they're just judgment. I'm jumping to conclusions. You're not really thoroughly and deeply analyzing everything. I mean, there is a deep analysis, but the analysis is jumping around from one thing to another, right? And when people don't tend to do this, that's kind of the hard thing. So to get them to do it is a little challenging. But again, you can use all these other type of things like establishing rapport and trust to get there. Okay, let's go to the next one. Crafting compelling narratives. Okay, huge. Storytelling, weaving a captivating narrative that resonates with the target's emotions and experiences. Storytelling is big. This is like storytelling. We can maybe say, when like for example, when people talk about their life story, right? We love an underdog that is successful now. Like, we love those rag to riches stories. Like, I had nothing, I was broke, I was struggling, and then an opportunity came. I worked hard, and now I'm famous and rich and wealthy and all these things. So yeah, I'm working on my storytelling. Actually, my upcoming videos are going to be on storytelling. Okay, emotional appeal, tapping into the target's fears, desires, and aspirations to, yeah, this is the same thing. So, tapping into that emotion. And authenticity, very important, presenting the narrative in a genuine and believable manner to build trust and credibility. You have an intention, which is ultimately to manipulate, educate, re educate, discipline, instruct, teach, mold, convince, persuade, brainwash, indoctrinate, or transform. But at the end of the day, all of this has to be done genuinely. It has to be done with who you really are as a person. It can't be, fake. Okay, and I think we have the last one, conclusion and key takeaways. Social engineering is a powerful tool that can be used for both good and ill, correct? By understanding the underlying psychological principles and techniques, we can better protect ourselves and our organizations from such threats. Here I would add and use them when we need to use them. Remember, the true power lies in being aware and staying vigilant. Yeah. So AI did this. I think it did a good job. A lot of these things I talked about them in my steps videos. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. If you want me to do some more research, I'm constantly learning every day new things. But yeah, I think for now I'm going to leave this Operation Magician right here, but it's open for maybe for a part two in the future when I learn more things and I'm better equipped to continue with the archetype. Okay, so thank you guys for watching the video and the videos if you did, and I'll see you next time. Okay, peace.